Chef Don McMillan, and we are going to make a Moroccan specialty, chicken tagine. A chicken tagine. That's correct. Tagine. This is what a tagine is. This is a clay cooking pot that's used in North Africa, Morocco, Egypt, all those wonderful countries with so many great spices. And you have to, look, let me just put this down for a second. Look at the arrangement of spices and ingredients we're going to cook with. You are really going to enjoy this. So please give us some comments. You may have your own recipe that you'd like to share. Also, please click on and like us. I certainly want to respond, and thank you for doing that, because it's just so important to our particular show, because we do have so much really to do. And of course, we want you to subscribe. So important. Now, please stick around. I've got so many tips to share, and even a story or two. You're going to want to stay till the end. My name is Chef Don McMillan, and we are going to make a Moroccan specialty, chicken tagine. So I have all these great ingredients. Let me just tell you what we have, because we're going to combine them all to marinate our chicken. So here's what we have. We have some ground cumin, cayenne pepper, paprika. I'm using a Hungarian paprika, has much more flavor. Some crushed red peppers, curry powder, whatever your favorite brand of curry powder is fine. Some ginger. We're going to chop up some fresh parsley. And we're going to do some lemon zest. And that's just to marinate the chicken. Let's get doing this, man. First of all, so we have some fresh parsley. I've rinsed it 3 times. And now I'm just going to take it and roll it into a ball into my hand. Right there. Place it right here on our cutting board. Hold it down with one hand. Firm grip on my knife, 4 fingers on the handle, 1 on the bolt, and just dice down just like this. And then once that happens, we just turn it, do it again. Now this is fresh parsley. I strongly suggest that you use fresh parsley and not substitute a dried parsley. Fresh parsley is loaded with wonderful flavor, and you don't want to miss any of the flavors in this dish. Now we're going to take our chopped parsley and place it right here on our board. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to zest our lemon. So here's our lemon, here's our zester, and all you have to do is just bring it across the flesh like that. See how it just comes right in there? It captures it right in this channel, and just bring it across just like this. Only once, don't go back and forth. You don't want that white pith underneath, because that is bitter, and we don't want bitter food. We want tasty food. The flavor from citrus fruit is right here in the skin, and that's why we're extracting it right now. So here, just tap it on your paper, and there's our lemon zest. Beautiful. So I go ahead and slice my lemon in half. I'm going to use that to juice our fruit and food, but next thing I'm going to add is a couple more ingredients, and that is salt and pepper. So let's put some pepper right there. You may do it to taste, but I'm using about, for this dish, a teaspoon of pepper and about 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Now, let's go ahead and combine all of these wonderful ingredients, and we're going to place it in a Ziploc bag. So here's the dry ingredients, some of the fresh ingredients. Open the Ziploc bag. And it goes. I'm also going to add in our grated ginger. Place that inside the bag. And in addition to that, I'm going to squeeze our lemons. So here's our juicer right here. Place that in the bag, give it a good squeeze, flip it, turn it around, give it another good squeeze. And then we'll do that with the other half. Now all of these wonderful ingredients are going to marry together, build layers of flavor, and increase the wonderful flavor of our chicken. So there is, we'll put that off to the side. And now I have here my chicken, which I'm going to go ahead and put into the bag. Okay, get in there. I like to squeeze some of the air out. It makes it easier to marinate our chicken that way. And be sure the zip is closed. You don't want any of it escaping. And now what you do is just using your hand and give it a good massage. And it goes right into the refrigerator. Using Ziploc bags are so much easier because you can just empty the ingredients and dispose of the Ziploc bag. So that goes into the refrigerator. Okay, so while the chicken is in our refrigerator marinating for about 20 minutes, we need to chop up some onions and also some garlic. So here's how I like to do it. I'm just going to slice into the garlic just like this. Turn it around and give it a little chop like that. Very simple. And then once this is done, we'll give it another little chop on the board. Get a fine mince in there. This is going to release some of the flavors when it's cooking. Now garlic, you'll see, cooks, it tends to burn, so I'm not going to be browning this too much. I'm just going to give it a little bit of the flavor. But when you put it with the heat, it actually does caramelize and the sugars come out, and it gives just so much flavor. And of course, this would not be a Middle Eastern or North African dish without garlic. You know, we have so many important ingredients in there. And okay, so here, garlic is done. Let's push that to the side, and then we're going to mince our onion. So for that, I'm going to cut off that part where the flour is, and then I'm going to cut off this part where the root is right here like that. Take my knife, place it right there in the center. Divide the onion in half. I'm removing this part here. I don't need the skin. And I'm going to take off the outer two layers of the onion skin. There's one, and we'll get the other one. So the onions are an integral part of this dish, just like some of the spices that we added. So it's very important that it's in there. If you choose to use other types, you could probably use shallots, but it won't be as potent as the onion is. Sometimes I've seen this dish where they actually mince the onion in a processor, so it's really fine. So we're going to chop the onion fine today, and then saute it just a little bit in the flavors that we're going to derive from sauteing the chicken. Okay, so here's our root, an invisible line on this side, a series of vertical slices down like this. I'm putting these closer together now because I want a finer chop. Turn it around a quarter turn, and then just do this again. So see how beautifully the onion is diced. People often ask me how come I'm not crying when I'm cutting up onions. I feel it's important to have a sharp tool. So if you have a sharp knife, you're not releasing all those juices, because if I squeeze the onion, you'll see all those juices just coming up in the air, and once that hits your eyes, that's what really makes you cry. Okay? And also I have to tell people, I've cut so many onions in my life, I think I've already shed all the tears that I'm going to have to from cutting onions. Quarter turn this way, and just like that. When you get to that invisible line, you flip it over and then just cut around the root, because we're going to throw the root away since it already has done its job. Lots of onions. I don't think I could cook without them. Okay, so now our onions are properly chopped. If you want to, you can come back and give them a big chop like that. Okay, garlic, onions are ready. Next, we want to take out the chicken from the refrigerator, and we're going to start frying our chicken and getting it a little bit brown. We're not going to cook it all the way. We just want to get some color into it. Our chicken is out of the refrigerator. It looks so beautiful in there. We're going to take some flour. This is 4 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Sprinkle it in there, kind of like Mom used to do when she was frying chicken, putting it in the bag and shaking it up. We're going to do the same thing. Put it in the bag, seal it. The flour is going to thicken our sauce as it cooks. It's also going to keep the juices into the chicken as well. And by frying it, we're going to give it some of the color that it probably wouldn't get inside the tagine, because we're going to cook it covered. All right, shake them up, make them happy. This is the best chicken you'll ever eat. I'm telling you that. Okay, now let's turn our fryer on. All right, I'm placing in my olive oil. And I noticed that my wonderful olives were marinated in olive oil. Let's get that in there too. Why not? I don't want to leave anything out. All those great marinades and flavor. We'll kick this baby up a whole lot. All right, bring the oil to a temperature. It'll start to sizzle just a little bit, and when that happens, I'm ready to place my chicken in there and brown it. So I'm going to brown the chicken. Once it gets nice color all around, take it out, place it into my tagine, and then I'm going to take those same juices that are in here. I'm going to brown my onions, take those out and place that into tagine, and add the rest of the ingredients in there. So please keep that in mind as we're cooking, because we do have a lot going on. Okay, it's hot. Here's the chicken. You see that right in through here. It is floured. I have a pair of tongs, and we'll start browning off. I did have some chicken with the bones in it. I thought the bones are going to add even more flavor to the sauce as it's cooking. Look at that. Isn't that a work of art? Wow. So I'm using primarily the dark meat of the chicken. Please feel free to use any type of the meat if you wish to use the white meat, if you wish to have it boneless. I also prefer the bone, and I prefer the skin for the flavor. And as you already know, everything that I like to do is about the flavor. So we want to keep that in mind, because we're making a very flavorful dish. I mean, if you were here in the kitchen, you would smell this food cooking, and you would think, hurry up and cook, because I want a bite now. Or more, really. Okay, let's see what we got in there. We didn't leave anything in the bag. All right. Let me just put that off to the side for a second, and then make sure our chicken doesn't burn. We'll turn it, and again, what I'm looking for is brown. Okay, so as the chicken's browning, I want to tell you this one story, because I've had this particular dish, as I said, when I was traveling, because I used to work on yachts and ships, and this particular time we were in Port Said, so we were able to go to a local hotel that they had, and wouldn't you know, it was New Year's Eve. So because it was New Year's Eve, there was a big celebration. So my fellow shipmates and myself, we're there celebrating, and of course, you know, we wanted to welcome in the new year, and what better way to welcome the new year with some sparkling wine, some champagne. We've ordered it, you know, like an hour before midnight, and we're waiting, and we're looking at our watches, and we're saying, when is it? We tell our waiter, I'm getting it, I'm getting it, I'm getting it. And as you know, we're getting close to the countdown, we're looking for our waiter, and finally, about a minute before countdown, I see him off to the side, and he has his bottle that he is shaking like crazy. So I'm thinking, champagne does not need to be shooken, right? You don't have to shake that. Just open the bottle and it's going to be foaming out. And as the countdown starts, from 20 to 15, he runs over and he pours us a glass of champagne. And just at the crack of midnight, we all toasted and wished Happy New Year, drank what we thought was champagne, and after we spit it out, I think it was something that came from a camel, but I won't say, okay? But I couldn't swallow it, and I'll remember that. You're not gonna say the same about this dish. This has so much flavor, you're gonna want more. You can even have it for New Year's if you wish. It seems like memories are created when you're eating, when you're sharing food at home, when you're talking about your grandmother's favorite dish, or you're talking about visiting a particular country or a place. Your mind is thinking, wow, I can't wait to get there because I know I'm going to have some wonderful food. And that's what food is. It's about memories. That's why you always want to share it, as well as you want to create those memories with people you love, especially young people. Cook with them, get them engaged, get them started. Believe me, they will thank you, and years later they will tell stories about how they cooked with their parents or grandparents. Wow, tell me that doesn't look good. Oh my goodness. So now I browned it on one side. I'm going to brown it on the other side. Then I'm going to place it into our tagine and then saute this garlic and the onions for just a little while. So here's our tagine. Sometimes when they do this dish, they actually brown it on the tagine, which means you would have to cook it on an open fire. If you're going to do that, I would say you put, like a metal diffuser that you can put underneath it. So please do that. Don't put this on an open flame, okay? But I'm going to cook in this pan and just transfer it to here. Reason being is I want my tagine to go into a cold oven, not a preheated oven. Sometimes the recipes tell you to soak your tagine overnight. We're not soaking it. I believe when I cook with clay pots, clay cookery, I go from a cold oven to the temperature. This particular temperature is going to be 375. Okay. Now, we're going to take our chicken out. Let me do this. Turn the fire off. Take out the small pieces first. You see I got some of the bones in there, the chicken wings. Get them in there, the chicken legs, chicken thighs. I'm telling you, this will be a memorable dish. Oh my goodness, I know the smell is driving me crazy. All right, our chicken is now in the pan. Now I'm going to add in our onions first, and then I'm going to add in the garlic. Now it may seem like I'm using a lot of onions, but this particular dish requires a larger amount of onions than traditionally we use, say, in a beef stew or something like that. Now when the onions cook, that bitterness that you associate with onions is going to dissipate. The sugar is going to come out of the onions, and when the sugar comes out of the onions, then the flavor comes out. And that's what we're doing. We're adding flavor. We're building up the flavors, or as they say in New Orleans, we're layering the flavors. So just smell this wonderful dish. Look how beautiful that looks. Oh my goodness. We're just going to cook the onions just a little bit. They're going to soften up. Some of the wonderful sugars that are in there are going to come out and hit the bottom of the pan and caramelize just a little bit. And at that point, we're going to add in our garlic, and then we're going to place all of these ingredients into our tagine and place it into a cold oven, turn it up to 375, and the hardest part is to wait an hour for this to be done. We'll just have to suffer through all of that because we're going to celebrate as soon as it comes out of the oven. Okay, just a tiny bit more. All right, now we're going to place in our garlic, and we're going to saute that for about a minute. So let's just talk about some of the other ingredients that are going to go into this pot as our garlic is cooking up. Olives. You know olives are very popular in the Middle East and also in North Africa. We have the Kalamata olives, which are very popular in Greece, and then of course the green olives, which are more popular closer to North Africa, Morocco, Tunis, all of those countries out there. In addition to that, I'm going to place in here some tomatoes. So I diced up some tomatoes, and let's go ahead and put those right into our dish. They're going to add a wonderful ingredient to the sauce. Some of the acidity is going to help in creating a different taste that's going to be just so wonderful in the combination. Okay, this is ready. Okay, let's get those onions in there. Oh, yes, every bit. Smother those babies. Okay, let's just stir it around. Now, other treats we're going to add. Pistachios. We shell these babies. Let's put some of those in there. Pistachios, as you know, do come from Northern Africa and the Middle East as well, and it'll just give your dish nice. If you don't like pistachios, leave them out. You may add in other nuts of your choice. That would be fine. I do have some mandarins. I feel that it needs a little bit of fruit for sweetness, so I'm just going to place these mandarins in there too. Apricots work very well with this particular dish. You may also add, let's say, apples, pears, something like that. Some types of fruit, you want a little bit of that sweetness that comes from the fruit, as well as it's going to give it a texture that you're wanting to look at. We did put some lemon in there, so that lemon is going to give us some of that acidity that we're looking for, and that's also a very nice way to kick these dishes up. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to give it another stir. Be sure everything is combined in there. And then we have one more addition. We put that flour on there because the flour is going to actually thicken our dish as it's cooking in the tagine, but we are going to want a lot more sauce. So I have some chicken stock. About a cup is about all you need. So you don't want to drown it, but just want to add that. This will thicken in the tagine as it's cooking. We're going to take our top and we're going to place it into a cold oven. Let me give you just another word of advice. When you're putting this to your oven, adjust the racks so that the top of this oven, the top of the tagine does not touch the top of your oven. There's a coil up there and you don't want it to sit too close to the coil. You don't mind it being a little bit of close, but if it gets too close, you might find that this would track, and of course that would be a tragedy, okay? But we're going to set, it's going to be about that much in. So readjust your oven racks to fit. All right, here we go. Oh, this is looking good. And we're going to set it on 375. Start. And another thing is set your timer. We're going to look at it in about an hour. Okay, let's check and see if our tagine is done. First, remove the lid. Be very careful. It's extremely hot. Okay, let's place it off to the side. And remember I said earlier, the way you know when chicken is done is you want to give it 165 degrees on your meat thermometer. So let's find the biggest piece and we'll just plunge the thermometer into it and see what we have. We got one here. I got, oh my goodness, that one's 168. Let's check another one here. There's another big piece right here. 180. Oh, we're good. We're good. Let's do this. It's coming out of the oven now. All right, very carefully. Remember, it's extremely hot. Ooh, look at this. It smells divine. That's going to drive you crazy. But there it is, my friends. A wonderful Moroccan tagine loaded with so many flavors, spices. The sauce is ideal. You might want to have a little couscous with it, some rice. Definitely, you want to, this is a celebratory item. And let me tell you something else. It's even better the next day. So if you have any left over in your refrigerator and you reheat it, those flavors are just gonna just sparkle. Just open up your mouth. Okay, remember, you have to subscribe. We need you to subscribe so we can give you more of these wonderful recipes. Like us, please do that. If you need the recipe, it's in the directions below. All of this is provided. Make a comment, let me know. If you enjoy it, you want to share a recipe, I'd love to comment and interact with you. Remember, all of our recipes are simple and delicious.